Hallo, liebe Deutschlernerinnen und Deutschlerner. I hope you're doing well. If you're new here, welcome to Your German Teacher, the YouTube channel to learn German. Not the YouTube channel, of course, but one of the YouTube channels to learn German. It doesn't matter, but it brings me to the first question. Mit welchem YouTube-Kanal lernst du Deutsch? Mit welchem YouTube-Kanal lernst du Deutsch? With which YouTube channel do you learn German? Oder für welche Prüfung musst du lernen? Für welche Prüfung musst du lernen? For which exam do you have to study? Now we look at this welch, at these endings more in detail, and then you see they change. But why? Firstly, because there is a preposition. And secondly, there's also other things you have to keep in mind when forming those questions. But no worries, you will learn everything about this. Now in this video, we talk about Frageartikel. Welche, welches, welchem, those are question articles. Mit Präpositionen, with prepositions, for example, mit, für, auf, and other ones as well. We start with the Satzbau, sentence structure. Zum Beispiel, mit welchem Zug fährt Hans? Which train is Hans taking? Oder an welchem Tag hast du frei? An welchem Tag hast du frei? Which day are you off? Oder in welcher Stadt wohnt ihr? In which city are you guys living? Now let's look at the sentence structure more in detail. First position is always the preposition. Then you have the question article welch. Then you have the noun. Then the verb, and then the subject. And this is the sentence structure we'll find for all of those questions when forming a question with welch, this Frageartikel welch, plus Präposition. Now, if you watched our detailed video about welch, we have one. In case you haven't seen it, you will find the link here up in the cards. Then you probably are familiar with this table here. Here you can see all welch in all three cases, nominative, accusative und dativ, and also the 4 or 3 genders plus the plural form. Now, when it comes to Frageartikel mit Präpositionen, we only need these two, accusative und dativ case. Why? Because there is no preposition which takes the nominative case. Machen wir ein Beispiel. Mit welchem Buch lernst du Deutsch? Mit welchem Buch lernst du Deutsch? Which book do you use to learn German? Or literally, with which book learn you German? Here on position 1, die Präposition. And mit is a dative preposition, which means it always takes the dative case. Therefore, this welchem, this ending also has to be dative because it gets the case from preposition. Now, we're not finished yet because we also need the gender, and the gender comes from the noun it precedes. Here we have Buch, which is neutrum, and therefore we have this welchem, as you can see here in this table. So there's always two things you have to keep in mind. First, you have to check the preposition, the case, which case it takes, and then you also have to check the gender of the noun it precedes. Let's do examples for the other cases here, as you can see in the table as well. Zum Beispiel, mit welchem Computer, der Computer maskulin. Mit welchem Computer arbeitest du? With which computer do you work? Neutrum, we just had already. Feminin, mit welcher Tasche gehst du einkaufen? With which bag do you go shopping? Und Plural, mit welchen Büchern lernst du Deutsch? You can use the same sentence. With which books, plural, do you learn German? Here you have to keep in mind, there's no change for nouns, but there's one exception where it changed, and that's the dative plural. That's why Bücher becomes Büchern in dative plural. Now, when it comes to these endings, how to memorize them? It's actually pretty simple. You just take the definite article of this case. So here we talk about dative, right? So therefore you have to take the definite article in dative, and this welch gets, as you can see, the same endings like the definite article. You can say mit dem Computer, mit welchem Computer, both em. Or feminin, mit welcher Tasche, mit der Tasche, both the er ending for the Frageartikel and the definite article. That's why it's called Frageartikel, because it behaves like an article, it changes the endings like an article. Gut, machen wir ein anderes Beispiel. Für welchen Test musst du lernen? Für welchen Test musst du lernen? Which test do you have to study for? Or again, literally, for which test have you to study? Here we have the preposition für, and für is a Akkusativ preposition. It always takes the accusative case. Therefore, this welchen is also an accusative because it takes the case from the preposition. And it's welchen in masculine because it refers to the noun it precedes, which is Test here, und Test is masculine, der Test. Therefore, in Akkusativ, welchen. Let's do examples for the other ones as well. Für welchen Test we just had, Neutrum, für welches Ticket sparst du Geld? For which ticket are you saving money for? Feminin, für welche Prüfung? Prüfung is same like test, exam. Für welche Prüfung musst du lernen? Do you have to prepare for? Or do you have to study? Und Plural, für welche Themen interessierst du dich? Für welche Themen interessierst du dich? For which topics are you interested in? Or in which topics are you interested in? When it comes to the endings, the same thing. You take the definite article in Akkusativ and the endings are the same for this Frageartikel welch. The only thing here in Neutrum, there's this welches, this I is there for pronunciation reason. Now, you know about Wechselpräpositionen, right? These are these 9 prepositions here, which can take either Akkusativ or Dativ case. Just a little quick, in general, it's about the verb usually it comes with. So if you have a verb which includes a movement, so you go from A to B, then you have to use Akkusativ. If it's describing something or answering the question wo, then you have to use Dativ. But there's also other ones you have to keep in mind. Zum Beispiel, auf welchen Bus wartest du? Auf welchen Bus wartest du? Which bus are you waiting for? When you see welchen, in which case, auf here takes Akkusativ. But why? Because of this verb. Warten auf. Warten comes also together with a preposition, and warten auf is always Akkusativ. You will never see warten auf plus Dativ. Even though it is a Wechselpräposition, but warten auf plus Akkusativ is a fixed thing. It's always Akkusativ. Let's look at another one. An welchem Projekt arbeitest du? An welchem Projekt arbeitest du? Which project are you working on? Here we have the preposition an. An ist auch eine Wechselpräposition. Which case here? We look at this welchem, this M is always a sign for Dativ, and it is actually also Dativ. And why here as well? Because the verb arbeiten an is plus Dativ. There is no arbeiten an plus Akkusativ. And this brings us actually also to the bonus tip. Verben mit Präpositionen. Or actually, to be more specific, Verben mit Wechselpräpositionen. Because you know, some prepositions, they always, like mit, for example, always take Dativ case. Zu always takes Dativ case. Für always takes Akkusativ case. So if you have verbs with one of those prepositions, you don't have to think too much. But if you have verbs with a Wechselpräposition, what are you going to do? If you don't know, take the accusative case. Because most of the verbs which have a preposition which is a Wechselpräposition, as you can see here, for example, they're all in accusative case. There is one exception though, and that's the preposition an, which, as you can see here, is sometimes also in dative case. So again, if you're not sure, take accusative. Most words with preposition with a Wechselpräposition take the accusative case, except preposition an, sometimes in Dativ. But if you're not sure, use Akkusativ. And if you want to know more in detail about this welch also in the other cases and about diese, dieses, then you can watch either one of those videos here. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. I hope you learned something. I hope you liked it. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss und Bye-bye.